Well, of course, I'm quite used to it. And my family, in fact, have been landowners in one form or another for 1,000 years. We are the natural husbands of the land. We are the caretakers of the land on behalf of the people of this nation, and it's quite right and proper and fitting that we should be the people who take care of the land. The peasants wouldn't know what to do with it. We're doing them a favour. Well, of course, Britishness, the essence of Britishness is in fact the acceptance of a class division. Now, there are many other countries in the world where there are class divisions and they're not very happy about it. But the thing about being British is people know their place. Now, of course, my family came over with the Normans, took all the land away from the Anglo-Saxons, divvied it up amongst ourselves and have basically hung on to it ever since. More or less every member of the aristocracy is one of the original Norman families that came over. And so to be British, I suppose, reducing it to a nutshell, is to know your place and be happy with it. To understand that your betters are your betters, and the best thing for you to do is to behave yourself, accept your lot in life, and toil and labour and pay your dues to your betters, the people who own everything, on your behalf, of course. And that's essentially what I think of as Britishness. Other people may think it's got something to do with, I don't know, cricket and, the chiming of bells on a Sunday. But for me, Britishness is where a few people own the whole country and you work for them. That's the natural order of things in Britain. Well, it took a while, of course. I mean, to begin with, 1,000 years ago, the Anglo-Saxons were used to having land and having common land for the whole community to use and to live off. Of course, we had to change this. It wasn't quite as radical as the Soviet collective, although it's very similar in many ways, in that the land is concentrated in the hands of a few. Now, this was achieved in a number of ways by the king and the church, or the royal family and the church at the time, and gradually eroding all of the common land into the hands of private landowners, culminating in the Enclosures Act, which more or less was the death knell of subsistence farming in this country. Now, I'm not saying that this is on the whole a good thing if you're a peasant, because obviously if you can't look after yourself and you have no land, pretty much you have to do what we want. Which is how, of course, the Industrial Revolution was so well laboured. I mean, Adam Smith, he was onto a thing or two with the two pillars of capitalism, labour and capital. But what he missed out and didn't mention, which is a jolly good thing, is that you can't have labour if labour has land. If we hadn't taken all the land off everybody, they'd still be on the land. They wouldn't have gone down the mines, they wouldn't have gone in the shipyards, they wouldn't have gone to the mills, the dark satanic ones, and it would have been so much harder for us to generate the kind of vast wealth and income that we are now using to despoil the planet.
So let's say, as an example, if the peasantry did have land and we didn't have the Industrial Revolution, what would that have meant for law and order and peace in this country?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, there's a school of thought, perhaps, that everybody would be much happier, but poorer. Whereas now everybody's quite unhappy, but they have, if you like, a veneer of wealth. We allow the peasants to own their own homes. I mean, we used to call them landless peasants, but in fact most people actually own a little land. Just a little, mind you. A barbecue, dry your clothes, that sort of thing. So if we hadn't taken off all the land off them, I mean, imagine the whole country would be completely different. A bunch of self-sufficient people looking after themselves, not in the need of any kind of capitalism or nanny state or handout. My goodness, who would we get our money from? How would we capitalize our business ventures across the world if we weren't able to put vast amounts of land up to the bank in order to raise the capital. You see, I mean, fundamentally, our whole system breaks down. Of course, now, genetically speaking, they're dependent on us. In fact, they, in some sense, need us and want us to look after them. I mean, the very idea that these, our livestock could take care of themselves, it's absurd, really. I mean, if they were to do away with the ruling class, it'd be like Mozambique. People would be starving in the streets. Oh, it would be a terrible thing, not only for us, but for them. We are, in essence, now joined at the hip, and you can't have us without them. The peasants need us to look after them, and we still need the peasants to staff the shops, work in the factories, and consume. Not so much staff the shops these days. It's more a sense of we need people to buy the things that we are supplying now. People have forgotten about the land, and to be honest, most people couldn't gut a rabbit. They certainly wouldn't know which end of a plough to turn the land over with. So it's become less important to the peasants that they have or have not land, but more that they have or cannot shop. As long as we keep them shopping, I think we'll be fine.
And what is the main message, the slogan coming out of the proletarian camp these days towards people like yourself, would you say? What are they trying to say to you?
Well, I gather I'm not much interested in politics myself, but, friends of mine who dabble in that sort of thing tell me that a lot of people are unhappy about the cost of living. And in essence, as long as we enable people to live in some sense, somehow, within their means, everything will be tickety-boo. And so what we need to do is keep the economy going, almost at any cost. And as long as there's food in the shops and money in the bank, I think we'll be fine. That's what people want. They want to go to the shops with the money that we gave them and buy the food that we sell them and go home and eat it and watch EastEnders. I think. I mean, I don't know really, but